Good evening. You're watching Latino Talk TV. I'm your host, Jose Luis Jimenez.
I'm Greg Compian.
And thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about the current events that are going on here in Houston, and we're actually going to have a live show. We want you to chime in, and we want to know your ideas, your feelings on everything that's going on out there right now, because your opinion matters, and we want to make sure that you are part of our show, and we can actually just answer some good questions. Okay, so before we get into it, we will have a guest joining us later today. And, dial in when you see the phone number on the screen. All right. So, Greg, what's been going on out there? How you been?
I think everyone's getting ready for the school season to start. You know, the parents are out there gearing up. The kids are kind of like trying to get back in that trend of waking up early and going to sleep early and, I guess, back to that schedule and what have you. But,
you know, have you seen, we got HISD going back to school here. There's a lot of bond programs coming out there. I wonder how the community is going to react to all these, additional bond programs, which is basically additional money that the people are going to have to pay. Are the schools really that broke?
Well, yeah. To answer that question, in my opinion, of course, just from the outside looking in, I think there's a lot of repairs and what have you that need to be made. And unfortunately, I can tell you that it's probably the wrong time to be trying to pass that bond election. The economy, although they say it's kind of recovering, I see it's still a little stagnant, and the speculators are saying that it's going to be a little weak next year also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been seeing, we've been going back to school shopping too. I got 2 little kids, and I heard that there was actually fights at Target trying to fight over school supplies. People have been getting pretty rowdy over, little things out there right now, and I just think it's just a symbol of what's really going on out there and the feeling of the community. Have you seen anything like that right now?
No, I really haven't. I think that ultimately, I kind of try to focus on the positive, and I think that school kind of gets going. Remind the people, the viewers out there, to be careful during the school zones. Mm-hmm. And watch the school buses unloading and what have you, and be prepared for the traffic, because with all it kind of starts again. But after, I'm looking forward to the daylight savings time in October.
Have you taken a good vacation lately?
Yeah, we were in San Diego. We had a great time. We were in San Diego and LA, and been spending a lot of time in Galveston. Just, right here in our own backyard in Galveston, Texas. It's, with the Pleasure Pier, the beach is packed. You can be out there at 10 o'clock at night and it's packed. So there's a lot of fun just to kind of get out and relax the mind and give the kids a little bit of a break also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that, but I think Houston was rated one of the best cities to live in. I think some of the best places to eat and based on restaurants. We have some really great restaurants around here. I'm pretty sure that a lot of that has to do with Latino-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses. What do you feel about the business community here in town and the growth that's been going on lately?
Well, I agree with you. The city of Houston is a great city to be in. We got to fight the heat and the humidity, but besides that, we're fortunate to be in. And with the oil and what have you, we're a little isolated from a lot of other parts of the country. It's a great state for opportunity, great city for opportunity, and the diversity rich in our cultures, be it African-American, Hispanic, Anglo, Asian. There's a little bit of everything. There's a little flair. And you can go to Chinatown, in the southwest part of the city and eat some great soups and chow mein, or you can be in the East End, and it's not really so much isolated anymore. All different parts of the city, Spring, Woodlands, all that area is just popping. I don't know if you saw the deal in the paper a couple weeks ago about the projections of the growth in Sugarland and Conroe and what have you. So there's a huge opportunity in this great city and a great state to be in.
I agree completely. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a quick break. I think we can go ahead and change it up right now. So tell me about what's been going on in your side of Houston right now. Are we back on here? All right, good. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to bring on our guests who can join us, and we'll be right back. You're watching Latino Talk TV. All right, you're on.
New York.
Welcome back. You're watching Latino Talk TV, and now we have Ruby Lopez joining us. Ruby, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us about you and what's been going on. I understand you're from Houston?
I am. I grew up in Houston, born and raised. I left 12 years ago. I left Houston, went to Austin for university. I went to New York for a while and then Dubai, and I just got back from Dubai. Just relocated.
Now, how long were you you said you were in New York for a while. What's a while? A New York minute?
Well, no, I was there for I think 3 years.
Oh, that's not a while.
Yeah.
Where did you live in the city?
I lived in Queens.
Really? A lot of Hispanic community in Queens, right?
A big Hispanic community.
Now, tell us a little bit about that.
It's about Queens?
Yeah, about this whole experience of being in New York.
It was nice. I'd have to say I had a lot of good experiences. The hardest thing about New York is the winter. One of the reasons I wouldn't want to live there. New York's an amazing place. It's so much fun, so much culture and arts, and you meet so many amazing people. But it is a very fast-paced life. And it is one of those things that when you're going to work, I worked in the city and I lived in New York, and Queens, sorry. It's one of those things that when you're going to work, it's literally head down and just rushing to try to get there on time. And then you just get caught up in the whole hustle and bustle of the whole New York experience. But in the winter, it's very, very, very cold, and you bundle up and you have tons of layers on. And then you go into the train station, because everybody rides the metro, the train. And when you go in, you're packed in like sardines, so you start sweating because it gets really hot, but you have all these layers on because it's freezing outside. So you go from hot to cold, and it's just a good experience.
What did you do in New York? What kind of work?
Oh, gosh. I went right after I finished university, and I studied radio, TV, and film. So when I went there, I got a part-time job helping a fashion designer. So that was a lot of fun, and I also did a lot of promotional modeling jobs. I did a lot of theater and student films, things like that.
So what part of town did you grow up in here in Houston?
I grew up by Gulfgate,
Okay.
nearby.
So you went to Milby?
I did.
A Milby girl went to New York City. I'm just being mean.
Hey, get a rope, right? Get a rope.
No,
Is that a surprise?
no, actually, this is really what the intention of the show is to find the homegrown stories of people who actually made it and went out. Because a lot of times people grow up in the neighborhoods, you know, like I grew up in the north side of town, but I went to Lamar, you know, that kind of situation. You know, a lot of people think that we're just destined to do certain things. Like, what was your predetermined future if you would have stayed in the neighborhood?
Well, as far as I can remember, I always knew that I wanted to go to UT in Austin. So I knew I was going to leave Houston. Not too far, it's only 2.5-hour drive. But since I was a little girl, I knew I was going to go there. People would ask, what are you going to do? And I wasn't sure. I never knew what I wanted to do. But I did know that I was going to go to UT. So I didn't know how far I was going to leave Houston. Dubai's kind of far. I didn't know how far I was going to go. But I did know that I was going to eventually leave Houston and eventually come back, because my family is here. So I did want to come back. I just wanted to leave for a little while.
You like how she said Dubai's kind of far?
Kind of. So take us to Dubai. How did you get to Dubai from New York? I mean,
Well, that was actually my husband. He got a job opportunity there, and my husband's from New York. And
You married a New Yorker.
a New Yorican. A New Yorican, yes. So he got a job opportunity there, and he said, do you want to go? And I said, why not? So we went, and we loved it. It was amazing, an amazing experience. It is a 16-hour flight from here, 14-hour flight from New York. It's a very long flight, a lot of movies on the flight. But it's an amazing place. If you have the chance to go visit, I would definitely recommend it. Not in the summer.
If you think about it, Jose, here, you know, there's a lot of people that kind of, have you ever heard the people live and die usually like within a 50-mile radius where they were born? You know, so for you, young, Latina, you know, venture out on your own, go to New York, fall in love, you know, Puerto Rican, but it's all right, we'll go, you know, and then go to Dubai. I mean, tell us about Dubai. That is just an awesome city, isn't it?
It is.
Unreal. I mean, I've just seen it on movies, but.
It is, and it is exactly how it is in the movies. It's brand new. A lot of people say it's like LA but newer. I don't know what that means, but a lot of people say that. Anyway, it's a very new place. It's in the desert, so it's kind of amazing because Dubai just 15 years ago was all sand. And now it's grown into this immense city with huge, tall buildings. Everything's brand new. The architectural structure of the buildings is unbelievable. It's breathtaking. The people are really, really nice. It's like, I'd have to say 80–90% expatriates that live there. The actual people that are actually from Dubai, from the UAE, make up a very small percentage, so they're the minority there. So you do meet a lot of people from all over the world. It's on the beach, which is great. It's hot, very, very hot in the summer.
What about Atlantis? Did you go to Atlantis in Dubai?
I did.
Beautiful?
It's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Really? Yeah.
And so for those that may not know what Atlantis is, please describe what Atlantis is and
It's basically a resort. It's a hotel. I believe the other one's in the Bahamas. Is that correct?
Yeah, in Paradise Island.
Paradise Island. It's amazing. It's amazing. They have, I think, the biggest aquarium in the world, maybe. I don't know. I might be making that up and giving Atlantis more props than it needs. But they have a really big aquarium, and from every bedroom you see the aquarium, and they have a huge water park and a huge beach, and everything they do is just over the top. It's really nice.
Very nice. So I'm going to ask you something. We're going to kind of chime into some of the current events, and
Sure.
I want your opinion from an outsider's perspective, because a lot of times what we discuss is what we see every day, because we live it day in and out. You know, and I really think that from an outside perspective and seeing the world from Houston, from 50,000 feet out, or actually more, how many miles away was Dubai? Chime in and let us know what the perspective is out there. So let's start off with what's been going on. Did y'all know that today there was a shooter at College Station at Texas A&M University?
Just heard about that.
I didn't know about that.
It's been something, once again, with gun control laws here, the ones that are pro-guns are saying there should be more guns on campus so they can be more protected. And they're the ones that say, look at what's going on. Because of lack of gun control, we're in this situation once again. What do you think about that?
Wow, I tell you what, I feel for the families. That was there any deaths involved in this?
There was a police officer that was killed. Or from my understanding, I may be incorrect, but let's look at one, the impact of the families. And two is the campus.
I was in the movies yesterday, and we were watching The Bourne Identity, and this guy started running from down, and I mean everybody in the theater was kind of like just. You're kind of in the zone watching the movie, but you hear somebody running, you're like, what's going on? You're kind of on alert. Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I think it's very scary and it's very sad. I feel for the people that are affected by the shooters, as well as the shooters' families, because I'm sure a lot of them don't expect their son, daughter, may have you, to do that. So I think it's very sad, and it's sad because it's a free country, and you should feel free to go and do whatever you please, and then to go to the movie theater and be afraid to watch a movie. The guy was probably running down, maybe he had to go to the bathroom or something like that, and then you're on edge, and it's really sad. It's sad to see that.
But don't we cause that ourselves by not having gun controls? Because if you go to other countries, I mean, do they have that type of problem in Dubai? I mean, was that situation like that to where you were cautious of going around the corner, or do you think people are going to have a gun?
Honestly, no. So you feel so safe. I actually, my problem is, and my husband tells me all the time, I always leave my purse wide open on the seat next to me, and I'll run into the store and come back and not think twice about it. And he says you cannot do that when we go back to the States, and it's something that you just don't think about it there, because it is so safe, and you would never think that there would be a shooting somewhere. Maybe because the laws are a lot stricter. It's maybe because of that. Maybe because it's a lot of people from other countries that don't want to lose their visa status because they come there to work. I don't know what it is, but no, you don't feel afraid anywhere you go.
I'll say, you know what the deal is? If you think back past couple of shows when Orlando was on, Orlando Sanchez, and he said about the voter ID, he said, well, you got to have ID to buy beer. You got to have an ID to buy a gun. I mean, that was a weak argument for such a smart individual. But what I'm saying is that, I mean, it's only obvious, and then I don't know whether the media reporting it. Oh, because then you got that copycat kind of deal. Now, I don't know if this is that same type of deal, but I mean, there's been several incidents just within the past, since the Colorado deal.
Yeah, but then that's a good point right there. Should we be allowed to go to the corner and buy a gun? Should we be able to go? I mean, that doesn't happen in other countries, right?
No.
We have Mexico screaming at us, saying that we're responsible for all the guns that are going down there. I mean, should we be allowed to do that? Should we be able to just go and buy a gun on the corner? We can.
Well, everyone says about hunting, this and that. Some of these I mean, just this past weekend, George R. Brown had the biggest gun show and what have you. And I mean, guns, there has to be some type of control. Taken away, no. But I mean, they've got to do something, because unfortunately, I think the issue is mental health. You know, and like the gentleman from Colorado, with all the indicators and everything that came out at the university and what have you, and there's got to be probably at the jail systems or some, you know, we've got a big problem with people with mental health and people that go through depressions because they've, you know, and I think what happens is the breakdown of the family structure, and every one of us needs someone to kind of talk to.
So we went from gun control to family.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, the gun control lack of, it affects your family, and maybe, look, you let your emotions get involved in your decisions and you lose every time. You cannot win.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think you can't have emotions involved when it comes to things like this. I think they've made it too easy for a person to be able to buy a gun, to have a gun in their hands. I think it should be a lot harder. They should have stricter rules, laws, processes, tests. They do a driving test. You know, I don't think they have a test for you to get a gun.
Well, actually, we do. CHL here in Texas, a concealed handgun license.
Oh, do they?
You
do have to get a license.
Yeah,
Okay.
but, you know, there's still a lot of situations like that where it's like, oh, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
How, in Dubai, were you able to, did they promote buying guns on every corner? Like
No one had guns.
No one had guns?
No, the police did, but you didn't have a gun, no.
And what would happen if you got caught with a gun over there?
Honestly, I don't know. I never
tried it?
Never tried it. I don't know, but they're not easy on breaking the law.
Okay. So what were some of the punishments that occurred over there in Dubai?
A lot of it is immediate jail time. If you're caught drinking and driving, let's say, or driving under the influence or anything like that, now it's immediately 30 days in jail, no questions asked. So it doesn't happen often.
No good lawyers over there?
There's really good lawyers, but the law is the law, and there's no way around it.
And how long were you there?
I was there this time around just shy of 3 years.
Wow.
I was there a year in 05.
You passed a little Middle Eastern. Did you get that?
I did. A lot of people thought I was Lebanese.
You could go, yeah, Lebanese. Yeah.
I said, no, I'm from Milby.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, no, my parents are from Mexico. They're like, wow, Mexico. And they thought I was so exotic. And I'm like, really? It's the Middle East.
Yeah.
But
Well, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about some other current events. So you're watching Latino Talk TV. We'll be right back. You're watching Latino Talk TV. I'm sorry, I just heard something funny. So, okay, now let's get into local current events. Number one, if you didn't know, we just had a situation where there's a local Channelview young lady who was forced to perform sex acts. You know, the community here in town, there's a lot of situations going on with the community, and how do we stop that kind of stuff from happening? And you know, what's your opinion on all stuff like that?
Wow. Tell me a little bit about. I wasn't aware of that.
Well, there's you know, it just came out in the newspaper. It's actually on the local newspaper here in town. But there was a young lady at the age of 16, and she was forced to perform, you know, sex acts for, you know, food and clothing. I mean, it's a.
So was she like held a hostage? Or?
I would assume so. I didn't get all the details yet. I mean, it just came out. But just think of the family situation to be able to get into that, and you know, what kind of family structure and support is there?
I think it's very depressing to hear stories like that, especially when it's one of the reasons I don't like to watch news nowadays, 'cause everything is so negative in the news. I don't know. I feel sorry for the girl, but for the person that did this, it's again, something's got to be mentally wrong for you to be able to do something like that to someone, to another human being. So
it scars a young lady for life, unfortunately.
it does.
You know, so it's not something that you can fix. She'll carry that forever, and unfortunately, that's very selfish of individuals to do, and affect this young lady's life for the rest of her life. And you say she's 16, but there's no telling how long it's been going on.
Yeah, and it's a very unfortunate reality. That, as we all know, Houston is the sex trafficking, human trafficking center of the United States. There's task force specifically dedicated just to address that here in town, because unfortunately in our community, the Latino community, you have the terms of las ficheras, you have all the cantinas. They're being trafficked, into Houston. They're having to work off their debts, and think of that as a culture, as a community who is supposedly or allegedly so religious and so structured and so conservative. How can we continue to allow those things? Because a lot of people don't say anything about it. They turn a blind eye to it.
Well, and that's what the problem is. We'll say, I don't know if it's due to shame or if it's due to intimidation, if it's due to, the intimidating that they're going to go do something to their families. There's a lot of fact. Is there something that can be done? There's always something that can be done. I mean, you don't throw your hands in there and say that it beat you. But, it's unfortunate that people would just take advantage of, especially a young child like that.
So let's look at your history. You grew up in the southeast side of town.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally southeast, north side, east end. There's a lot of cantinas around the neighborhood. How do you remember thinking back of any situations like that where someone could have gone a different direction?
With me particularly, no. But I mean, there were situations. There were times when walking just down the street to the store, and you see a car pass by, but I need to run. It's coming to stopping or coming hollering at you. You get in the car or something like that. Even from school, trying to pick up kids at school, it happens. And luckily, I've never been a victim of anything like that. But as you said, you don't know how long this has been going on with this girl. Sometimes when kids are so young, they don't know that it's wrong. So I don't know if there's a way to stop it, but maybe if you have young children, maybe talking to them and keeping them really close and letting them know that they can come to you with anything, and that nothing's their fault, and just showing them what a family is supposed to be like. Unfortunately, there's so many broken families nowadays that, again, it all comes to the mentality issue of your family and the family structure.
So how do we fix that? Is there anything that we can do to address that type of situation?
Ask, say no. You can't spend the night. Know where your kids are at. I mean, that's a different circumstance, of course. Be a parent. Don't be a friend. Mm-hmm. I've got a 15-year-old daughter who's going to be 16, and, you can't do everything in this world. That would be wonderful if you could, but I tell you what, you can keep your little tail at home every once in a while. The mall's going to be there tomorrow, and the movie theater isn't closing, so, every once in a while, just saying no. I'm sorry, no. That's a whole different circumstance. How do you fix it? I think, like you mentioned, the deal in Dubai, you make it, there again, it goes to the mental illness. There are some sick people in this world.
Well, I guess we're talking about values. So what do we value as a community, as a country, as a family? What's important here compared to, what were some of the value systems that you saw in Dubai? I mean, was it a big difference?
Very similar values as there are here. Family is very important. Family is very important there. But as I said, the majority of people in Dubai are expats. One thing that's very different in Dubai than it is here, and maybe that's why people they second think before they do something wrong, is that in Dubai you're guilty until proven innocent. Not like here, innocent until proven guilty. So it's if you do something, you can spend years in jail until you're proven guilty. It can take years to clear your name, even if you didn't do something, which is a bit backwards, but maybe that's why people don't want to get in trouble, and they don't. I'm not saying bad things don't happen in Dubai. They happen everywhere. They do, but it's just the crime is very, very low compared to here.
Okay. Speaking of crime, here in the United States, as you well know, growing up here, we're about to embark on August the 15th, which is 2 days from now. Mm-hmm. We're going to start accepting the applications for the DREAM Act process, so-called DREAM Act process, because it's not really a DREAM Act. It's just a deferred action program that President Obama put into place. And we have had a lot of commercials out there in the community saying, come to me, I'm an attorney, and I'll process your application for you. Sign up with me now. Where the reality is, if anything was done prior to that, it may jeopardize their application. So there is a target that a community is being targeted for profit and support in some extent. But is that really the right way to go? Because you have all the young dreamers that are in college or graduating or any of that type of situation. And now they're looking at spending anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 for an application that costs $465.
$465, yeah.
So,
I think that what we need to do as a community is we need to ask more questions. We need to direct ourselves to professionals. And at the end of the day, you got to follow your instincts and ask yourself, what's in it for this guy? And if it's about simple economics and really he's not, well, everyone's got to pay the bills, but if they're trying to exploit that and sell that false sense of hope, that's wrong. And I think that what the authorities should do is crack down on that and not allow that.
what do you think?
I agree. I think that every situation that happens, I find that there's people trying to see how they can profit and benefit from that situation. And this is something that's similar to it. I think that we should ask a lot of questions, and I think there should be more people in higher position as lawyers, such as lawyers, that are willing to give you more information or say, look, I might not have the time to sit with you, but here's a brochure that I put together, let's say, for you to read, for those that don't have internet or can't, because nowadays you can Google everything, but we can Google a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But I think we just need to become more educated with what's out there and what's really being offered, instead of just believing people or, like you said, getting a lot of times manipulated by people in power.
Yeah. So what is a fair price, I guess you would say, to support you in filling out that application? We're talking. I've seen it as low. They got notarios out there charging $1,500 before the application even exists. Mm-hmm. You have other, I've heard commercials saying, "Pay me $50 a month, and I'll protect you until your application is done." And it's like, what are you really paying for?
It's money. It's the fleecing of America. That's what it is. But and basically that's that false sense of hope. But that's going to occur in anything and everything. I think that people need to be smart where they invest their money. If they're going to pay for fees, what is that person's history? And like you said earlier, Google them. Don't let their history be a mystery. And Better Business Bureau, different things like that. So there's some resources that are out there that could probably be a more educated consumer, if you would. But that service should be free, $465. If I remember correctly, I heard something about at the library. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Yes, and if someone's going to charge you $1,500 to help you fill out an application, give me a break.
But maybe that is a fair price. How do we not know it's not a fair price?
That's ridiculous.
It seems excessive.
Yeah, I guess they say compared to what? I want to remind you that the phone lines are open. If you see the phone line on there, chime in. If you think that $1,500, $2,000 is a fair price for that, to help you fill out a $465 application, tell us why. We need to know why. Okay? Is there somebody on the line already?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, good. Brad, you're on the air. You got a question?
Yes, sir. I'd like to a comment and a question.
Okay.
The comment first. I think y'all were just talking about the cantina things and the people having to fill out the paperwork.
Right.
I think it's sad that you have people the Latino people would take advantage of their own people, mm-hmm. and also times when people commit crimes and do things wrong, there's never consequences.
Right.
And then I would like to ask a question, a little change of subject maybe. I would like to know how do a lot of the Latino community feel about the Obamacare, the health care thing? Do they see that as a positive thing or a negative thing?
Well, that's a good question. Actually,
And the reason I'm asking is a lot of people see it as a positive thing, but you have to remember how many families in America can barely afford rent or barely afford food and can barely get by. So how are these families supposed to buy insurance that's going to be mandatory, by 2014, and you're talking thousands of dollars for penalties and fines if you don't. I mean, these families can even they can even afford. Lots of people afford, rent. They're barely getting by it. So, I mean, I'd like to see what the Latino community thinks about that, and would they support that, or would they be against that? Since that's what's going to really happen when the law passes. It'll be mandatory, and that would make families even deeper in debt. And I would think that would be more of a negative than a positive.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And you want to chime in on that one first?
The Obama health care deal or insurance deal is, I'm not a specialist. I think that, as everything, it would have its pros and cons. He's absolutely correct right now in today's economic times, and I'm a small businessman. We provide insurance to our employees, and the cost is unreal. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a payroll service about some type of a co-op just to make it a buying power. I think that there has to be some type of control on the lobbyists with the pharmaceuticals and everything else, because just the cost of all that. And if you just don't look at the cost of insurance look at the elderly people, cost of the medicines that they have to take. It's unreal.
What do you think?
I don't have a sense.
I mean, you have
yet.
to remember when the end of the tax season comes, and those people file for their taxes, and normally they'll be getting money. They would be getting money back, which you put money in, you should get money back. Now they're going to be. Think of how many are not going to be able to even pay. They're going to have to be owing money, and once you owe money to the government, it just builds up interest, and that's just a reality. And I don't think a lot of people are talking. They're not talking about it because it hasn't happened yet.
I think you got a good point there, and let's also look at the flip side of that. The cost of health care at the local government level, if you ask the Harris County Hospital District and other local health care providers, the cost of emergency services is astronomical, and they're not able to keep up. If you talk to David Lopez and that board that manages that, we have huge lines at the emergency room just for normal items. So we haven't seen the impact of transferring that expense over back to the taxing entity, which is us. We're paying for it either way. We can pay through all the bonds that we're having to pay for, or the normal taxes that we're paying on a daily basis, or we go back and pay for it as an individual. So as a family man, I believe in it for now.
Right.
For now, but at the same time, I'm paying a lot of money on insurance, and I sell it. I mean, it's crazy, but it's insane at how much I'm paying, and on top of that, when I actually have to use it, it's huge amounts of money to get to my own deductible. But
also, though, remember, if you're a family man and you have 2, 3, or 4 kids, and you're going to be penalized for that, when you don't have that, then it's just like you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You don't really have much to do.
But then we also have families, and it doesn't matter just being Latinos. I mean,
No,
families
it's
across,
all families. It's white families. It's African American families.
who don't carry health care.
It's all families.
Yeah, all families. There are a lot of families who can't afford it, that don't carry it, and will wait in the emergency room to get taken care of at the last minute, and then we end up paying for it, and they never pay back the county. I mean, look at we should ask what the county has on accounts receivable for services rendered that never been paid back. Because
they were showing the other day on the news how much ambulance for Harris County and stuff. It's millions and millions of dollars of ambulance fees that don't get paid back. And things of that nature. And that's all. I just want to see what y'all's opinion was.
And the other worst part about it is that even as an individual, when you go do a job application or something of that nature, you can have bad credit as long as it's for medical reasons.
Yes, sir.
I personally don't agree with that, but hey, this is what our country's accepted so far. It's like, okay, you can go owe a hospital hundreds of thousands of dollars and never pay it back, and but that's okay because we'll still lend you a car. We'll send you money for a car. I mean, that's just not right.
But if you look at this, how could a procedure that costs in India hundreds of thousands of dollars less be so expensive here? It's just, it's crazy. So
it's all about the big businesses and about the money. Yeah. I mean, that's and money the root of lots of evil. Mm-hmm. I'm not a Bible beater or nothing, but that's what it talks about. That's what they say. Okay, thank you, and I
Thanks, Brad.
appreciate you. Thank you for allowing me to be on the show.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Jose, not to shift gears, but we're kind of getting all depressed. What about the Dream Team beating Spain? Did you see the game yesterday? I'm going to tell you what, the Spaniards gave the Dream Team a fight. They were a point away for each other at halftime. And, of course, they closed it out. But that Spaniard team, man, they were tough, man. They put on a good you would think that the U.S. was just going to walk in it. And then if you look at Mexico winning gold, I mean, imagine the celebration going on in Mexico right now.
Mexico, what about the U.S.?
The U.S. women's soccer team. I mean, how did the Lopez brothers do?
Unfortunately, he didn't medal, but I want to give that gentleman, I think it's Steve Lopez, a tremendous effort. I mean, that is the image of a true champion. I look forward to having him on the show because the gentleman went out there with a broken foot.
Wow.
And still gave it all.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's take a quick break and let's talk about that when we get back because that is the heart of a champion, in my opinion, okay? You're watching Latino Talk TV. We'll be right back. Oh, hi. Sorry. Hey, you're back on the air. You're still watching Latino Talk TV. Now we have Javier joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us your position with the NHPO-LI.
I am the Executive Director of the National Hispanic Professional Organization Leadership Institute, a program that's been going on here in Houston since 2009. We have had 7 graduating classes. Right now we have about, in our Alumni Association, close to 200 leadership graduates. And just started our Class 8 and have another 25 candidates in that class. It just started this past Saturday. So
tell us about the dynamics of Class 8. I mean, I know you had an opening ceremony.
Well, not so much an opening ceremony, opening class, I guess you would call it. But just one thing that we're really getting a lot of. We get entrepreneurs. Educational specialists. We've had several PhDs take the course, and what we are getting a lot of are teachers. We are getting a lot of teachers in our program, probably more than any other group in the society, and that's really a good thing. So these teachers are really understand what's going on in the system, and they really want to see change in that. And they're really I'm seeing all these teachers are really mobilizing and really facing the issues that are affecting the education system. So
what's the goal of the Leadership Institute?
Originally our goal, and this was a program that was founded by Ben Mendez and my good friend here. Greg was also one of the masterminds behind it. And what we were trying to do was to get a program together, sort of maybe a clearinghouse of Latino and African American leaders, and try to give them a support group. I think that's one thing that's really been lacking it's been lacking a support group as far as to kind of insulate our leaders, because when you're at the head of a pack, people are always going to be shooting at you. Mm-hmm. And so we want to kind of be that support group for the leadership, for the leaders in the area. And one of the things that originally what the intent was, so we could train our leaders to sit on boards, to be better volunteers. And what ended up happening, I think, especially with Class 3, Class 3 came out, and they really weren't satisfied to just sit on the sidelines anymore. Our leaders actually went out there. They became more community activist minded, and they started. From LI has had several leadership civic groups started. They've started nonprofits. I mean, these people just aren't sitting on the sidelines. They're really going out there and engaging the issues that are affecting the communities of color.
Jose, that Ben and I were discussing this some time back, and it was really kind of Ben's brainchild. But I tell you this, that how fortunate the NHPO was to get Javier, because with Javier, you get his wife, Pat. You get his son. And what I'm telling you, in leadership, you lead by example. And I tell you one thing, this family is one of the most giving families that are out there that volunteer, that get involved, and they give of the time to build someone. That's what it's all about. And the bond that's built between the classes, the respect that's out there for Javier. I'm going to tell you, and I'm not just saying that because he's a friend of mine, but his family, Javier, you've done, I mean, he's done a great job with the program, and not only that, they're always giving to the community. And it's easy to write a check or give a few bucks. These people give their time. And I tell you what, that's worth more than anything. Thank you,
I tell you, thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. But I tell you, it's really been a labor of love. And our program there has really been, it's been it's a living, growing thing. It's evolving. It's always changing. And our instructors, I think our instructors are top notch. Jose is one of our instructors.
I heard he had everyone crying. Is that true? Everybody told me about, Jose was the best. He had us all crying.
It's funny. It's funny because Jose has been.
I deny it. It wasn't me.
Jose has been teaching.
I said, was he that bad?
he's been.
I'm turning red.
He's been teaching the public speaking aspect of our program, and he's probably done it about 3 or 4 times now. Yeah. And it was funny, but the first time, Jose comes in and people don't know what to expect. And
I'm the nicest guy in the world.
Some of the comments were, man, and I'm going to use the nice word. I said, man, he's a real jerk. Because, Jose would come in and he would challenge these people, make them think, make them defend their position. He would give them off-the-wall questions. So you got to be able to react. You got to be able to think on your feet. And that's one thing that really Jose really pushed, up until the fact that this last class voted Jose's public speaking class as the best class of the course.
Oh man,
that was great.
I want to recount.
Where he was coming from, I said it was really funny because, like I said, they used some expletive words to describe Jose in his class from the first time he did it. But we have some great instructors. We have Roger Marroquin from Xerox. He does his session comes up next, which we're doing on Saturday on the 25th. And man, defining leadership, he's been doing this since class 2. And he does a fantastic job. Makes these people really think. And at the same time, these people are forming a bond. And that's what I think really is what separates our program from all the other leadership programs across the city. Is that, I've been to some of them, and when you're done, you're done. They give you the certificate, wave bye-bye to you, and tell you to go do good things. But the difference with our program, the Leadership Institute, the Alumni Association, is so active. Keeps these leaders together, insulates them, lets them come back and recharge. They can always come back and take a class. We really, for instance, one of the classes that we really promote them to come back and take again is the Robert's Rules of Order. Because if you know Robert's Rules of Order, you can control a meeting. Mm-hmm. It's amazing, and I can't tell you enough about that class. That class is taught by J.R. Gonzalez, the NHPO national president, who most of the time flies in from Washington, D.C. just to teach this class. And he's a fantastic instructor. So, I mean, and our program is just filled with instructors like that. It's a fantastic program. Anybody who's willing to give us the commitment, we're willing to take a look at it. It's an interview process to get into the Leadership Institute. We do it twice a year. We do it just like college in the spring and fall semester. The last 6 months, basically, so it's 10 classes over 6 months. Basically, every other week, twice a month, where you go in there and you spend the whole day, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You're there all day long, but it goes so fast.
Tell the viewers a little bit, about what the cost is, because a lot of these leadership programs are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and this is very economical.
And as a reminder, this is a nonprofit organization.
Yes. The Leadership Institute falls under the NHPO Foundation, which is separate from the NHPO networking organization. We're a 501c3. An educational charitable organization.
And it's like a college course.
Exactly. And we do the course. Latino University hosts us for a couple classes. University of St. Thomas hosts us. We do it at Ripley House. We do it at the Hano Center. We do a class there. We also started doing a class at the World War II Museum. here in the East End. So, and they're a great group of people over there. And we're always getting requests for people to really want to host us and partner up with us.
And what are some of the activities that students do that you think that they benefit most from, or that help hone in on their leadership skills?
You know, one thing that we really try to do is to form that bond within these classmates. And probably, you know, the first class it's very emotional for a lot of people. One of the things we spend a whole afternoon just sitting around the circle. We call it the circle of trust, in which we ask them to describe a tragedy that's happened in their lives, where they open up. And really, I mean, this session it's filled with laughter. It's filled with tears, you know. And these people really just open up, and it's amazing. You know, you see somebody across from you, you know, in a nice looking business suit or something, and you don't think they've gone through some of the things they've gone through. And this really opens up the class, and it really makes these people bond, you know, to the point where at the end of the course, I mean, these people are real. I mean, these are going to be friends for life, you know. And I think that's what makes our alumni association so strong, because these people come back and want to help, and they know. I mean, and I tell them all the time. I say, guys, these are the people you're going to go to war with. I said, you know, we were very successful in the redistricting campaign with the city of Houston. We had members that testified at the city level, at the county level, at the state level. We even had members that were called to testify before Congress in redistricting. And this is a group that's basically only 2-3 years old, you know. And so we know we're having an effect on society. We know we're out there making an impact. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we let these people know, you know, if you're going to come home and take this course, you know, and you're going to go on just put on your resume, don't waste your time. That's not what we're about. We're here because we want to impact the issues confronting the communities of color here in Houston, and that's what we tell them. That's what we stress.
You know, I like the last comment you just made, but I have a question. So, why should someone, I guess, you know, segregate themselves, you know, culturally? I mean, why only take, you know, a Latino-based leadership institute? Is it just Latinos, or is it open to everybody?
No, it's actually open to everybody. We're really looking for people willing to do the commitment, and you know, we've had Asians take the course, of course African Americans. We're trying to build that bond between the communities of color, because we know now there really is no more minorities. It's more plurality across the population of Houston. I mean, so you know, we're trying to make these relationships together, and we'll take anyone. You know, we've had Anglos take the course. We've had one of my favorite people, Ramsundar Ramamurthy, who was Indian Hindu. From India, and he's a fantastic guy. I tell you, that guy's something else.
And he's everywhere.
Oh, he's everywhere. It's funny. I told a man, I said, Ram, you know more Mexicans than I do.
But you know, one thing about it, Jose, is that I think people are more comfortable within their culture a lot of times, and in the different leadership programs that are out there in the city, they're quite opposite. I was on one, and it's, you know, 85% Anglo, and a sprinkled Hispanic, and a sprinkled Black, and so you could look at it both sides. But I think ultimately people, when you're sharing and all that, they feel more comfortable with someone that understands the culture and understands maybe the same struggles and sacrifices.
Ruby, have you gone through any leadership courses like this?
Only in university. Courses offered in university, not outside of school.
Okay.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of, and you know, the one thing about it, it's a good mix of people. We get a lot of the young up and comers.
So you have a young leadership class also?
Actually, we just started last year a youth leadership class for high school students, and we're about to start that again in September. So so we run the whole gamut. We really want to get these people ready for what's to come. So, and you know, you mentioned cost, and I kind of got off the subject of it, but you know, some of these costs for some of the leadership programs up to, you know, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, you know, for a program. Ours is you know, we ask for $1,000, but really that's never really an issue, because if we see that commitment from a person, we'll get them a scholarship. That's not a problem. Okay. just for instance, Walmart has really come through for us big the last couple of years. They've provided quite a bit of endowment money for us for our program. So
what I'm going to ask is if our producers in the back can put the graphics on in the end of the show. I would really appreciate that. If anybody watching that might be interested in learning more about this great nonprofit program. But before we close out, because we're almost running out of time, I want to talk about the biggest story out there. Who is Mitt Romney's running mate? Anybody know?
Ryan.
Mr. Ryan, yeah.
Yeah.
So is that good for the Latino community or for the entire community? Yes or no?
You know, it's good for the Tea Party because he's another Tea Party member. So I think that's going to solidify their voting bloc. But at the same time, I think it's going to do the exact the same thing to the other side, to the Obama people. I think they really need to fear these two.
What do you
think? These guys win.
I don't know. I feel that Latinos, they might go for Obama. I feel like they don't. I don't know if they're going to support Romney and his team.
Why not?
Again, what I've been hearing on the news and hearing on the radio is he's just opposing Latinos with everything that he says. Again, this is what I'm hearing in the media, and the elections are very media run, right? It's you basically base your vote based on what you hear in the media.
So what's your position from coming in from the outside coming in?
You know, a lot of people are very happy with the way Obama has done things outside of the U.S. in Dubai. I mean, in Europe, in Asia, they think he's actually done a lot and he's improved a lot. Again, he was given a mess when he started, and he actually has done a lot. A lot of people aren't happy with what he's done, but a lot of people that are not American from overseas, are really happy with him and think he's done great things for the country.
You know what I think, Jose, is that if you remember back a couple months ago when the president came out and was for same-sex marriages and what have you, and a lot of people said, well, why would he take that issue on when he didn't even have to? And the comment was either that he's going to be the smartest man in the room or the dumbest man in the room, because he took a stand on something that there wasn't even an issue at the time. I think Romney's selection, Ryan, it's the same thing. It's either going to be the best strategy move he could have or the worst. One end or the other. And the guy's young. He is smart.
He's 42 years old. That's young.
He's smart. And the Tea Party, like Javier has said, he electrifies them. So I think at the end of the day, you know, voters need to take their part, get involved, and take their piece, and don't just say it. Get out there and vote.
Well, I think you made a good point right there. We need to electrify the people watching this show. Don't be falling asleep here. Come on now.
He's going to solidify their base, but I tell you one thing: it's not their base that you need to worry about. It's the middle of the road. You know, the undecideds who are gonna make this election.
So Ryan wants to make Medicare a voucher program.
Yeah.
Okay. It is supposedly going to increase costs. At the same time, supposedly he's pushing to stabilize and lower the taxes for the middle class, whereas others are saying that it's going to increase the taxes for the middle class. So where does the next generation stand? Is there really going to be an opportunity to improve healthcare, you know, change the way Medicare is run? We just don't know. The truth is the country's broke, and we haven't figured out how to do it, and we keep giving tax breaks, you know, to a certain group of the community.
I don't understand that at all.
But Jose, if you look at the issue even more, and the gentleman Brad touched on it earlier when he was on the line, I mean, you take Dewhurst. Why would he spend $38 million of his own money to win a senatorial seat?
That he lost over a great media campaign.
And this is his money, not the money that was in from private donors.
Well, we're actually running out of time, and I want to thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ruby, for being with us.
Thank you, Ruby.
You are watching Latino Talk TV here at the great Houston Media Source Studios. We are live here in Houston. If you want to be part of the show or actually want to start your own program, look up Houston Media Source, hmstv.org. And watch us next week. We'll be here. You're watching Latino Talk TV. Have a great night.
That's it. Okay.